Investing in local SEO can be the single most important decision you make for your business. But if you go with the wrong company, you can lose a lot of money really fast. Most videos go over the red flags or the scams that SEO agencies are running, but this is for our more optimistic viewers. This is when you're looking for immaculate vibes from your local SEO agency, when you're looking for green flags. So in this video, we're going to break down the SEO agency green flags you should be looking for when you've decided to invest in local SEO to take your business from where it is now to where you want it to be. Now, you should rightfully be skeptical and say, why should I trust this guy to tell me what I should be looking for? In case you're new here, hi, I'm Sam. I'm the founder of ThenCan, a local SEO agency, and our core values include service, honesty, transparency, and one of our big ones is passing on knowledge. And so in this video, I want to make sure you have the information you need to make a wise decision, even if you don't work with us, because if I'm being honest with you, not every small business is a good fit for us. And maybe you'll find out if you're a good fit for us throughout this video. But you have a big decision to make, so let's stop wasting time and get started with the first green flag. They do their own local SEO. Before you even reach out to a company, the first thing you should do is Google SEO city state for the city and state that the company is located in. You should take a look at the map pack, and you should also look at the organic results. If you see somebody showing up in both, well, hey, maybe you want to work at that company. But if they're not showing up at all, you should start to be a little skeptical. Now, I will say, give some grace, especially to newer SEO providers. SEO and web design are like two of the hardest, most competitive keywords to rank for in the world, because guess what? Everybody that's doing SEO is probably doing SEO. But that being said, if they're not showing up at all on the first page or within the first 10 results of the map pack, you might want to not send that first email. But if they're showing up highly, that's a green flag. And we can move on to number 2. Check out their reviews. Now, don't go to their website because those can be gamed. Go to Google, see what you can find. It's not necessarily about getting the business that has the most reviews. Remember, that's probably the biggest company in town. We want the best reviews. So one thing I'm noticing here is that this review is just from a consultation. Same thing here, and that's great. And I have some reviews like that as well, but I want to find actual reviews where people are talking about the results they're getting. You want to look for reviews that are actually discussing business results, because really that's what SEO is about. Yes, it's about ranking higher so that we can get more impressions, which gets more clicks, which gets more lead forms filled out or phone calls, whatever you're looking for your business. But ultimately, it's about dollars in your bank account so that way you can see more dollars on the bottom line. That's right, Sam, with the green shirt, we want to get results that we see on the bottom line. And so if you're seeing an SEO agency with Google reviews that look like that are talking about actual experiences, that's a green flag. We're happy. And it's time to move on to green flag number 3. They have a process that mentions the big 3. Now, during your interview with the agency, you're going to get a chance to ask them, what's your process look like? And there's 3 words I want you to really listen for. I've done basically nothing for the last 3 years but local SEO. First, I learned it, then I started to do it directly with clients. Then I built a team that does it for clients. And now I'm teaching students how to do this in Local SEO Academy. And when I look at channels like these, channels I respect very deeply, they constantly talk about the big 3. So when you're talking to an SEO agency, make sure that they're mentioning the big 3. What are the big 3? Easy. The Google business profile. They should be talking about getting it set up, optimized, and getting a steady stream of reviews to it. They should be talking about the website, how you want to optimize for on-page SEO, how you want to structure your website in a way that Google will easily figure out what you do and where you do it by having service pages and location pages. There's more to it than that, but that's the big things. Then the last thing is building authority, which has to do with backlinks, getting locally relevant and industry relevant links pointing back to your website. That's pretty much it. SEO agencies might also do web design. They might do conversion rate optimization, social media, email marketing, help with lead funnels, all these other services that really aren't SEO. For instance, with ThenCan, we do local SEO and we do websites because you need to have a good website. You might come across an agency that's really big on review management. I think that's a great service to offer if you're also doing local SEO. But at the end of the day, when they're talking about their local SEO process, they should be talking about Google business profiles, website, and building authority. And if you hear them mention the word blogs, well, I'll save that for the red flags video I'll show you at the end. And if you want to see our process, you should check out this video and you can actually see some real results for a real client of ours. But as long as they mention the big 3 when they're talking about their process, that's a green flag. We can keep moving forward. And that brings us to green flag number 4. They're charging the appropriate amount. Okay, here's a little secret some agency owners might not want me to tell you. The vast majority of SEO work happens in the front end. That's usually where we build the strategy, then we build or optimize the pages that already exist. Sometimes we'll build some additional pages after that, and then our workload goes way down. Okay, so workload's really high, then it goes down. Over time, there's little spurts where we go back up because we find new opportunities, learn stuff from your competitors, whatever it is. But the reason why most SEO agencies, ours included, tend to do contracts is because we do this heavy workload in the front and the cost is smoothed out over time. I think it's just good business, and honestly, you want to be working with a partner, and I'll give you some green flags for contracts here in a couple points. Now, we've done local SEO for dozens of clients at this point, and I say to build a good strategy, you need to spend 10 to 40 hours really dialing this thing in, making sure you're targeting the right keywords in the right location, having the right page structure, optimizing GBP, fixing all the technical errors, getting early wins so you can build trust with your client early on. All these things are massively important and require a ton of time. And then building the content, sometimes that can be almost as time consuming as building an entire website. Now, can we build things more efficiently with tools like AI? Absolutely, and we take advantage of that in our agency. Of course, we try to make it sound as human as possible, but we use that to make ourselves more efficient. But it's still a decent amount of time to get these pages re-optimized, and it's good to kind of drip them out over time. I had a commenter recently call me out and be like, you don't want to drip it out over too much time. And they're right. But just generally speaking, like giving advice to random people on YouTube who might run off and go do this on your own, I say just spread it out. Don't drop all the pages overnight. And then the ongoing management of the Google Business Profile, the ongoing authority building that goes through either citation campaigns or going out and looking for links in the SERPs, or they're stealing your competitors' links. This all takes time. It is not a one and done service. So if that's what they're offering, that is not a green flag. And if they're not charging a pretty good price point, then you should start to get skeptical. Now, here's the thing. There's a ton of these out there, and they're usually niched down by your industry. And I like to call these Walmart SEO agencies. No offense to Walmart. I like to shop there every once in a while. If I need a cheap pair of flip-flops or a good deal on groceries, I go to Walmart all the time. In fact, I'm pretty sure I bought this t-shirt at Walmart. Actually, I know for sure the green shirt I was wearing earlier and that I will be wearing again later in this video, I definitely bought that at Walmart. That's a George t-shirt. Yeah, it was like $8. But when it comes to your marketing, do you want to trust Walmart or do you want something a little more luxurious? Now, I get it. If you're just getting started and you could find a company that's doing on-page SEO optimizations and it's about $200 to $400 per month, that might be all you can afford. But I guarantee if you dig a little bit deeper, even if you have a tight budget, you might be able to find a freelancer out there in your area that's really hustling and just hasn't built the client base. That's not a red flag. In fact, I've gotten some of my best results back when I was hustling, only charging $400, $500, $750 per month. So here's the thing. If you find one of these Walmart SEO agencies, then you might want to take a pass because, well, I'll pass it back to Green Shirt Sam and he'll finish the story. But what you're really paying for, hopefully, is somebody that knows what the heck they're doing for local SEO. You're getting a good strategy from a sound person that cares about the well-being of your business, who probably has a team that will help you stick to this plan over time, knows how to communicate with you empathetically so that way if something comes up, they can work with you through that situation, and is building a business that's sustainable enough so they'll be around a year later and maybe 2 years later, 3 years later, so you can keep growing together. So what do you think that's going to cost? Well, it's certainly not $300 per month. I would say the minimum that anybody should charge for good local SEO is $500 per month. A lot of agencies charge $750, $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, all the way up to $2,000 or more, especially for niches. I've heard people charging $5,000 or $10,000 per month when you get to things like injury law. At the end of the day, you want to find something that matches your budget, but you might want to leave a little bit more than you think. Remember, you get what you pay for, but also some people are really good at sales, but not good at delivery. So if not charging bottom tier prices, that's a green flag. But we need to dig a little bit deeper. Is it going to be worth the investment? And that brings me to green flag number 5. Let's ask them about their business model. Okay, if I was to build a matrix right now, there's really 2 different categories to look at, and it has to do with volume of clients and specificity of niche. The first one I'm going to talk about is volume of clients. Okay, I just mentioned those Walmart agencies that are out. Some recent examples I saw was one that just focuses on salon marketing, websites, and all that stuff. And I saw another one that does okay, but yeah. Now, here's the thing. If you're just getting started, you only have a couple $100s per month for your marketing, these aren't a bad idea. just know that you're probably renting your website from them. So the day you go to leave, just have a little extra money in your pocket so that way you can get a website built before you leave them. But again, if you're in the early stages, there's a reason why the Walmarts and the Amazons of the world exist, right? Now, if you want to work with somebody that's a little bit higher quality, they're probably going to be down here and they're probably not as worried about getting a ton of clients. And so you can just ask them, like, what's the vision for your business? Like, how many clients are you trying to get this year? Like, if you were to ask me, I would be ecstatic if we ended this year in the high 20s for clients. Right now, we're somewhere in the mid-teens. And maybe the following year, if we could get up into the 40s, I think that would be our absolute sweet spot. But we had to take some time to build better systems because we had some growing pains along the way. But right now, I think we're dialed in and we're ready for that next 10 clients. Bring them on. By the way, quick little sidebar. If you've been enjoying this video and you're like, I want some personalized suggestions from this guy, well, check it out. We have a free SEO strategy video. You just go to thencandesigns.com/SEO, smash that orange button, fill out the form. It takes like 5 minutes and I'll send you back a video kind of like this, probably without the lights. It's about 10 minutes long and I'll give you some tips on your SEO. You can ask questions in that form too if you have specific questions. I love doing that. I only do about 1 or 2 per week because they take some time. But hey, if you're looking at a local SEO agency, you're probably at a point where it would make sense for us to chat. So why don't you go fill out that form right now and then come back to the video. Now, the other part of the business model is asking them, so what type of businesses do you typically work with? And again, this has to do with people being either niche down or more generalist. Over the last year, especially on LinkedIn for some reason, there's been this big wave of niche local SEO providers, which can be great. They become specialists at that industry. They already know when you come in, they have the strategy in their mind. They're like, oh, we just did this for our last 3 clients. Let me just rinse and repeat. But that can give them a bit of a stuck mindset, okay? So we definitely want to ask, how do they stay out of that stuck mindset? And if they give you good answers on that, that's a green flag. Now, in the generalist route, the problem is sometimes they're too general. They might take on bad fit clients. And I'll admit, I've done that before. People that needed local SEO and national SEO. Now, that can work if you stay focused on that, but sometimes you lose sight of the goal at hand and you want to stay focused on your local SEO strategy, even if there's other things that the business should be doing, but you let them focus on that. So if you have a generalist, the advantages to that is they've seen what's working in other markets that might help yours. But it's always good if you can get somebody that has experience in your industry. But it's not absolutely necessary. If they've worked with an electrician and an HVAC company and a roofer and you're a plumber, they've never worked with a plumber, they're probably going to be able to figure it out. So you can cut them a little bit of slack. So if they have a business model that aligns with the point of business you're at, that makes sense for you, the niche or generalist route that seems to resonate best with you and you're feeling good, okay, we got another green flag. So we can move on to number 6. You want to ask them who you'll be communicating with. I think there's 2 options for a green flag right here. Number 1 is the founder. It's always great when you can have direct access to the founder. And for most of my business, that's exactly how I've run it. In the early days, you'd talk to me, I turn around, I do all the SEO. You'd talk to me again, I turn around, do all the SEO. That worked until I got too many clients. And so I had to start building a team. And then the next phase, you talk to me, I turned around and talked to the team that did the work. I was still heavily involved in the strategy. And then I would report back and talk to you. Then the next phase, I hired a project manager, and then I hired Gabe. Originally started as an assistant, worked his way up to project manager. Shout out to Gabe if you're watching the video. We love Gabe. And so while I stayed involved, Gabe was the person you would mostly talk to on a day-to-day basis. He would report back to the team, report back to you, and I still stayed in the loop. And even today, as things have gotten more complicated for us, Gabe has actually evolved into a client success manager role. He's solely focused on making sure your experience is amazing with ThenCan. Some of our other values are passion, drive, and flexibility. We want to be flexible to meet our clients where they're at. And we realized that having Gabe focus on too many things was making it harder for us to deliver good results sometimes. So now that he's solely focused on this mission, it means you're only communicating with Gabe, and Gabe is not getting hung up on filling out meta descriptions and things like that. He's focused on keeping us on track with the vision that we laid out with your help in the beginning. Now, what if you want to work with the guy from YouTube? Don't worry, I get it. I'm still there. I lay eyes on your SEO strategy. We check in internally every month, and usually every quarter, we sit down, we have a strategy session to make sure that everything's still going, because I'm staying in tune with local SEO on a daily basis. Trust me, I would look at it way too much on LinkedIn when I should just be, playing with my dog or something like that. But the one thing you don't want to hear is you're getting some project manager, some account manager. Like, you want a freaking rock star as your project manager. So if you get the founder, that's a green flag, as long as they're not burnt out. And if you get a project manager and they're a rock star and the salesperson, who's maybe a founder, is talking them up, Okay, we feel pretty good. But if you're just getting some account manager that's probably going to get replaced by another account manager in 3 months, and then another account manager in 2 months, and then another account manager, well, then that might not be a green flag. But again, founder, good project manager, that's a green flag. We can keep moving forward. We know who we're going to be communicating with. Well, that's great. And that's a green flag in my book, which is my final green flag, expectations. And there's two subparts to expectations. The first, of course, is the natural question that people love to ask. How long will it take to get SEO results? I actually have a video that's probably too technical for this audience, but if you want like a local SEO's opinion on like how I would figure out like roughly how long it should take for you to get results, you should check out that video. But the big thing I'm looking for is honesty. If they say, oh yeah, we can get you to rank in a couple weeks, and they don't back that up with the how, that's a red flag, not a green flag. But what I've said on almost every sales call I've ever been on is, look, I don't know how the algorithm works. I don't work for Google, but you know what I can promise? That we will work our asses off for you. And if that sounds like the team you want to work with, then Ken is probably who you want to work with. Some agencies promise the world and deliver very little. Try to be honest. For a lot of our clients, months 3, 4, and 5, things start to trickle in. Things start to look good at that point. And if it's a really competitive industry, which I can see from the very basic SEO metrics, then I let them know that, like, hey, this might take a little bit longer because you're in this metro area, because you're in this competitive industry. And also conversely, if they're in a simpler industry, I say, hey, you don't have a ton of competition. Hey, this is a smaller market. We can probably rank faster here. And I'm just honest with them. That's what you should be looking for. Honesty. Green flag, we love it. The other part of this is your workload. Hey, what do you need from me? And what I always try to say is like, I want things to be easy for you. This is a done for you local SEO solution. You should barely have to lift a finger, but at the same time, we want somebody that's engaged. Now, don't get me wrong. I love those clients where we really don't have to check in with them. They're not asking what we do all the time. They start to see the results coming in. They send us text with thumbs up emojis. That's pretty easy. I like that. But I also like the clients that stay engaged. They go into the little Notion dashboard and they say, hey, I'm starting to see a show up for this. Hey, I'm starting to get phone calls from this. What else can we do? I love that. So ask what your workload looks like, because most agencies want you to be somewhat involved. We don't want you looking over our shoulders or checking in with us every day. That slows us down, right? We want to build some level of trust. We try really hard to do that during the first phase of our SEO process, which is the SEO strategy sprint. So that way you can just trust us to go do our work, and we check in periodically throughout, and we build this nice relationship over time. Most agencies are going to be the same way, but ask, what is to be expected of me? And if it sounds like too much, then maybe you need to find a different fit. But if it sounds like an amount you can commit to, so that way you're sticking to this for the year, well, then that might be your last green flag you need. Well, here's the thing, friend. If you're getting immaculate vibes from me and then Ken, well, let me be a little forward. There's a link below to just book a call with me. Click that link, find a time, let's sit down, let's chat about this. Let's see if I can pass the green flag test. And by the way, if none of the times in my Calendly work, my number's on there, so you can just text me. Seriously, go ahead, text me. Remember, if you're not a good fit, I'll let you know, but I'd love to have the conversation either way. But now that we've taken all this time to look at the green flags, I think it's time we revisit the red flags. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the 4 biggest SEO scams that are running right now this year. And why don't you watch those so you can avoid those, and you'll be ready to make your decision, pick your local SEO agency, and start crushing it. I'll catch you in that one.